Jinwoo Park stepped off the transport ship and looked around at Kepler Station. The place was huge, much bigger than any space station he had seen before. Ships from different worlds were docked everywhere. Strange aliens walked around talking in languages he could not understand. The air smelled like metal and something sweet he could not name. He pulled his bag closer and checked his papers again. Engineering Section 7, Level 12. His new job started tomorrow. Jinwoo had worked hard to get this position. Kepler Station was famous for having the best alien technology research in the galaxy. He wanted to learn everything he could about how different species solved problems. "You must be the new engineer," said a voice behind him. Jinwoo turned around to see a tall human man with gray hair. "I am Taeho Kim, your supervisor." "Welcome to Kepler Station." Jinwoo bowed politely. "Thank you for accepting me, sir." "I am very excited to work here," Taeho smiled. "Good attitude. Come on, let me show you around. This place can be confusing at first." They walked through the main plaza. Jinwoo saw aliens he had only read about in books. Tall blue creatures with 4 arms were selling strange fruits. Small furry beings ran between the crowd carrying packages. Giant rock-like aliens moved slowly through the walkways. "How many species live here?" Jinwoo asked. "About 60 different ones," Taeho said. "Some are just visiting. Others have lived here for years. You will learn to work with many of them." They passed a group of pale blue aliens who looked almost human. Their skin was smooth and they moved with grace. Jinwoo noticed they made clicking sounds as they walked. "Those are Villani," Taeho explained. "They use sound to see their world. Very advanced species. Great engineers too." Jinwoo watched them with interest. The way they moved was beautiful, like dancers. They seemed to know exactly where everything was without looking. Taeho showed him the engineering section, the cafeteria, and his new quarters. The room was small but clean. It had a window that looked out at the stars. Jinwoo unpacked his few things and tried to sleep, but he was too excited. The next morning, Jinwoo reported to work early. Taeho gave him a tour of the labs and introduced him to the other engineers. There were humans, aliens, and even some robots working together. Everyone seemed friendly. "Your first job is to help with the water system repairs," Taeho said. "Nothing too hard. Just getting you used to how we do things here." Jinwoo spent the morning learning about the station's systems. Everything was more complex than on Earth. The water had to work for dozens of different species. Some aliens needed hot water, others needed cold. Some could not drink the same chemicals that humans needed. During lunch break, Jinwoo walked back to the main plaza to explore. He wanted to try some alien food. As he looked at the different stalls, he saw something that made him stop. A young Villani girl was walking toward a wall. She did not slow down or turn away. She walked straight into it with a loud thump. She fell backward and sat on the ground looking confused and hurt. Other people nearby looked at her but kept walking. Some aliens made sounds that might have been laughter. Jinwoo felt angry. Why was no one helping her? He started to walk toward her, but another Villani rushed over first. This one was older, maybe a sister. She helped the young girl stand up and made worried clicking sounds. The older one looked around with embarrassment and anger. Jinwoo watched as they walked away. The older sister held the young girl's arm tightly, guiding her steps. But even with help, the girl moved carefully like she was afraid of hitting something else. Over the next few days, Jinwoo saw the same thing happen again and again. The young Villani girl would bump into walls, trip over chairs, or walk into other people. She always looked surprised when it happened. Her sister was always nearby, trying to help and looking very tired. Jinwoo learned from other workers that the girl's name was Hana. Her sister was called Yuna. They had been on the station for several months. Some people said Hana had been born with something wrong. Other Villani could use sound to see, but she could not. "It is very sad," said one of the human cooks. "Villani need their sound sight to live normally. Without it, she is like a person with no eyes." Jinwoo started paying more attention to how other Villani moved. They made soft clicking sounds with their mouths. The sounds came back to them and told them where things were. It was like they could see with their ears. But Hana made no sounds. She moved in silence in a world she could not understand. One day, Jinwoo was carrying some heavy tools through the plaza when he heard a crash. He looked over and saw Hana on the ground again. This time she had fallen near a construction area. There were sharp metal pieces around her. She was bleeding from her arm. People were starting to gather, but they just stood and watched. No one moved to help. Yuna was not nearby this time. Jinwoo dropped his tools and ran over. Hana was sitting up, touching her arm where blood was coming out. She made small crying sounds. Her large eyes looked around but saw nothing. "Hey, it is okay," Jinwoo said softly. He did not know if she could understand him, but he tried to make his voice gentle. "Let me help you." He pulled out a clean cloth and carefully pressed it against her cut. Hana flinched but did not pull away. She tilted her head, listening to his voice. Jinwoo activated his universal translator. "Are you hurt anywhere else?" he asked. The translator made clicking sounds in the Volani language. Hana's eyes grew wide. She clicked back and the translator said, "My arm hurts. Where is my sister?" "We will find her," Jinwoo promised. "But first, let me take care of this cut." He helped Hana stand up and guided her to a nearby medical station. The automated system cleaned and bandaged her wound. All the while, Hana held on to Jinwoo's arm like he was the only solid thing in her world. When Yuna finally found them, she was very upset. She clicked rapidly at Jinwoo, and the translator struggled to keep up. She was thanking him and apologizing and asking what happened all at the same time. "She will be fine," Jinwoo told Yuna, "but maybe there is a way to help her move around more safely." Yuna looked at him with surprise. "Many people have tried to help. There is no cure for what she has." Jinwoo looked at Hana, who was touching her bandage carefully. "Maybe there is no cure," he said. "But maybe there is something else." That night, Jinwoo could not stop thinking about Hana. She was smart, he could tell. When she listened, her whole body focused on the sounds around her. She remembered exactly where things were once someone told her. But in a world made for people who could see with sound, she was lost. There had to be a way to help her. Humans were good at solving problems. Maybe they could solve this one too. Jinwoo spent his free time in the station's library, reading everything he could find about Volani biology. The more he learned, the more amazed he became. Volani were incredible creatures. They could make sounds and hear the echoes that came back. This told them exactly where everything was, even in complete darkness. The sound came from special chambers behind their ears. These chambers could make very high sounds that other species could not hear. When the sounds hit objects, they bounced back. A Volani brain could understand these echoes and create a perfect picture of their surroundings. But Hana's chambers were not formed correctly when she was born. The medical files that Yuna had shared with him showed the problem clearly. The chambers were too small and the wrong shape. No sounds came out, so no echoes came back. For Hana, the world was silent and dark. Jinwoo also learned about Volani culture. Their whole society was built around sound sight. Their art, their buildings, their technology. Everything assumed that people could use echolocation. A Volani who could not use sound sight was completely cut off from their own culture. She must feel very alone, Jinwoo said to himself as he read. The next day, he asked Taiho if he could observe Hana and Yuna during his lunch breaks. Taiho raised an eyebrow but agreed. "Just do not let it affect your work," Taiho warned. "And be careful. Sometimes trying to help can make things worse." Jinwoo promised to be careful. He started following Hana and Yuna at a distance, trying to understand how they lived each day. What he saw made him sad and amazed at the same time. Yuna worked in the station's botanical section, taking care of plants from different worlds. But she could only work short shifts because she had to watch Hana all the time. Yuna looked tired and stressed. Hana spent most of her time sitting in their small quarters or following Yuna around the work areas. She tried to help with simple tasks, but without being able to sense her surroundings, she often caused accidents. Jinwoo watched her accidentally water the wrong plants or bump into equipment, but Hana was not stupid. Jinwoo saw how quickly she learned when someone explained things to her. If Yuna told her, "The water controls are 3 steps forward and 2 steps left," Hana remembered perfectly. She could find the same spot again days later. Her memory was incredible. She knew the sound of every person's footsteps. She could tell which direction they were walking and how fast. She recognized voices after hearing them just once. Her other senses were much stronger than normal because she used them so much. She is adapting, Jinwoo realized, but she needs better tools. One day, Jinwoo worked up the courage to approach Yuna directly. She was in the botanical section, checking on some tall purple plants that looked like earth bamboo. Hana sat nearby on a small chair looking bored. "Excuse me," Jinwoo said, using his translator. "I am Jinwoo, the human engineer who helped Hana last week." Yuna looked up and clicked a greeting. The translator said, "I remember you. Thank you again for helping my sister. I have been reading about Villani biology," Jinwoo said. "I think I might be able to help Hana in a different way." Yuna's clicks became sharper. "Many doctors have tried. There is no surgery that can fix her chambers. We have spent all our money trying." "I am not talking about surgery," Jinwoo said quickly. "I am talking about technology, something that could work with what she already has." Yuna stared at him for a long moment. "What do you mean?" Jinwoo knelt down so he was at eye level with both sisters. "Hana cannot make the sounds she needs. But what if we could make those sounds for her? What if we could give her artificial echolocation?" Hana turned her head toward his voice. She had been listening carefully. Through the translator, she asked, "What is artificial echolocation?" "It would be like having a machine that does what your sound chambers should do," Jinwoo explained. "The machine would make sounds and listen to the echoes. Then it would tell you what the echoes mean." Yuna's clicks sounded doubtful. How would a machine tell her what the echoes mean? She cannot hear the sounds or understand the echoes. "That is the problem I need to solve," Jinwoo admitted. "But humans are good at finding new ways to share information. We could use touch or vibration or maybe heat. There has to be a way." Hana leaned forward. "Would it really work? Could I move around by myself?" The hope in her voice made Jinwoo's heart hurt. He did not want to promise something he could not deliver. "I do not know yet," he said honestly. "But I want to try, if you are willing to help me test ideas." Yuna and Hana talked to each other in rapid clicks for several minutes. Jinwoo waited, understanding that this was a big decision for them. Finally, Yuna turned back to him. "Why do you want to help us? We are not your species. We cannot pay you." Jinwoo thought about how to answer. "Because everyone deserves to be independent. Because Hana is smart and brave, and she should not have to sit in a chair all day. Because humans believe that problems exist to be solved. And because it is the right thing to do," he added. Yuna studied his face for a long time. Other people have tried to help before. They always gave up when it became too hard. They had good intentions, but they did not really understand what Hana needs. "I might give up too," Jinwoo said. "This might be impossible. But I promise I will not stop trying until I know for sure that it cannot be done." Hana reached out and touched Jinwoo's hand. "I want to try," she said. "Even if it does not work, I want to try." That evening, Jinwoo went to see Taiho in his office. The older man was reviewing repair schedules for the next week. "I need to ask you something," Jinwoo said. "I want to work on a special project during my free time." Taiho looked up. "Let me guess. This is about the Villani girl." "Yes, sir. I think I can create something to help her navigate independently." "Jinwoo," Taiho said carefully, "I admire your compassion, but you are here to learn about alien technology, not to become a charity worker. Do not let emotions cloud your judgment." "This is not charity," Jinwoo said. "This is engineering. This is exactly the kind of problem solving that humans do best. If I can make this work, it could help other disabled beings too." Taiho was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled slightly. "When I was young, I also wanted to save everyone. I learned that sometimes the best help you can give is to focus on doing your main job well. But sometimes," Taiho continued, "a project like this can teach you more than any textbook. If you can do this without affecting your regular work, you have my permission to try. But if your performance drops, the project ends immediately." "Thank you, sir," Jinwoo said. "I will not let you down." That night, Jinwoo lay in his bed staring at the ceiling. He had made a promise to Hana and Yuna. Now he had to figure out how to keep it. The basic idea seemed simple. Create sounds, detect echoes, translate the information into something Hana could understand. But the details were incredibly complex. How loud should the sounds be? What frequency? How could he translate three-dimensional space into sensations that Hana could interpret? He had never worked on anything this challenging before. Most of his engineering experience was with simple mechanical systems. This project would require advanced knowledge of biology, acoustics, computer programming, and neuroscience. "Maybe I am crazy," he thought. "Maybe this is impossible." But then he remembered the hope in Hana's voice when she asked if she could move around by herself. He remembered how carefully she listened to everything around her, trying to build a mental map of a world she could not sense directly. Humans have done impossible things before, he told himself. Maybe we can do one more. Jinwoo spent the next 2 weeks studying everything he could about sound, vibration, and touch. He learned how human blind people used canes and guide dogs. He studied how dolphins and bats used echolocation in Earth's oceans and skies. He read about devices that helped deaf people feel music through vibrations. The more he researched, the more he realized how complex his task was. A Villani's natural echolocation was incredibly sophisticated. They could detect objects as small as a coin from across a room. They could tell if something was moving, what it was made of, and even its internal structure. How can I recreate something that took millions of years to evolve? He wondered. But Jinwoo was stubborn. When other engineers went home after work, he stayed in the lab. When they relaxed on weekends, he tested theories and built prototypes. His regular work performance stayed strong, but every free moment went to Hana's project. His first attempts were disasters. He tried building a simple device that made clicking sounds like a Villani, but the echoes meant nothing to Hana. She could not interpret them any better than a human could understand dolphin language. His second idea was to use vibrations. He built a vest with small motors that buzzed when objects were nearby, but the vest was too crude. It could only detect large objects, and the vibrations were confusing rather than helpful. This is harder than I thought, Jinwoo admitted to himself after his fifth failed prototype. He was sitting in the lab late one night, surrounded by broken devices and scattered notes. He felt frustrated and tired. Maybe Taeho was right. Maybe he was letting emotions cloud his judgment. Having trouble? Asked a voice behind him. Jinwoo turned to see Dr. Nara, one of the station's xenobiologists. She was a human woman who specialized in alien nervous systems. I am trying to build something that probably cannot be built, Jinwoo said. Dr. Nara looked at his notes and prototypes. Artificial echolocation for a Villani? Interesting challenge. What approach are you taking? Jinwoo explained his failures. Dr. Nara listened carefully, occasionally asking questions about technical details. I think I see your problem, she said finally. You are trying to replicate Villani echolocation exactly. But Hana's brain is not wired for normal Villani echolocation. You need to create something entirely new. What do you mean? Think about it, Dr. Nara said. Hana has lived her whole life without sound sight. Her brain has developed differently. She processes spatial information through touch, sound, and memory in ways that normal Villani do not. Instead of fighting against these differences, use them. Jinwoo felt a spark of excitement. So instead of trying to give her Villani senses, I give her enhanced human-like senses? Exactly. Build on what she already does well. Dr. Nara helped Jinwoo redesign his approach. Instead of trying to translate echoes directly, they would create a system that gathered spatial information and presented it in ways that matched how Hana's brain already worked. The new device had 3 parts. First, ultrasonic sensors that could map nearby objects in detail. Second, a small computer that analyzed the sensor data and identified important information like walls, furniture, and people. Third, an interface that communicated this information to Hana through sensations she could understand. The interface was the most important part. Jinwoo designed a lightweight collar that sat around Hana's neck and shoulders. The collar had dozens of small devices that could create different sensations, gentle vibrations, changes in temperature, and even tiny electrical pulses that felt like touches. The pattern of sensations would tell Hana about her surroundings. A warm spot on her left shoulder meant there was a wall to her left. Cool vibrations along her collarbone meant someone was walking toward her. Gentle pulses on her back meant there was an open space behind her. But the system needed to learn how Hana moved and thought. Jinwoo programmed the computer with artificial intelligence that could adapt to her personal style. Over time, the device would become better at predicting what information she needed and when she needed it. Building the hardware took 3 weeks. Jinwoo had to order special parts from different worlds. Some components had to be custom-made by the station's fabrication systems. He worked with alien engineers who understood technologies that humans had never seen before. Programming the software took even longer. Jinwoo was not a computer expert, but he learned quickly. Dr. Nara helped him understand how different brains processed spatial information. Taeho, despite his initial doubts, offered advice on making the device reliable and safe. If this thing breaks while she's walking around, she could be hurt badly, Taeho warned. You need backup systems and safety protocols. Jinwoo added multiple layers of protection. If the main sensors failed, backup sensors would take over. If the computer crashed, The device would vibrate in a specific pattern to warn Hana that it was not working. If the battery died, an emergency beacon would alert Yuna immediately. The hardest part was testing the device without Hana. Jinwoo had to guess how well his translations worked. He tried wearing the collar himself with his eyes closed, but his brain was not adapted for this kind of input. The sensations felt random and confusing to him. I need Hana to test this, he realized. But what if it does not work? What if it hurts her or gives her false hope? He decided to start with very simple tests. If those worked, he could try more complex scenarios. Jinwoo asked Hana and Yuna to meet him in his lab on a quiet afternoon. When they arrived, Hana looked nervous but excited. Yuna looked worried. This is the device, Jinwoo said, showing them the collar. It looked like jewelry made of silver metal and blue lights. It is very light and should be comfortable to wear. Hana reached out and touched it carefully. It feels warm, she said. The sensors are active, Jinwoo explained. They are already mapping this room. But before you try it, I need to explain how it works. He described the different sensations and what they meant. Hana listened intently, asking questions about details. She had an excellent memory and understood the system quickly. Are you ready to try it? Jinwoo asked. Hana nodded. Jinwoo carefully placed the collar around her neck and activated the full system. Hana gasped. Her eyes went wide and she reached up to touch the collar. I can feel... There is something big in front of me. That is the wall, Jinwoo said. Try walking toward it slowly. Hana took a careful step forward. The sensations on her collar changed as she moved. She took another step, then stopped. The feeling is getting stronger, she said. The wall is very close now. She reached out with her hand. Her fingers touched the wall exactly where the collar had told her it would be. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Hana started crying. I can feel the room, she whispered. I can feel where everything is. Yuna was crying too. She hugged her sister tightly. This is just the beginning, Jinwoo said. We need to practice and adjust the settings. But yes, I think this will work. Hana wiped her eyes and stood up straighter. When can we start practicing? Jinwoo smiled. Right now, if you want to. For the next hour, they worked on basic movements. Hana learned to interpret the collar's signals as she walked around the lab. She found chairs, tables, and equipment with growing confidence. The device was not perfect. Sometimes the signals were unclear or overwhelming. Hana had to stop and rest when her brain got tired from processing so much new information. But it worked. For the first time in her life, Hana could sense her surroundings independently. Tomorrow we try walking in the corridor, Jinwoo said, as they finished the session. Tomorrow, Hana agreed. I take my first real steps. The next morning, Jinwoo met Hana and Yuna outside the engineering section. Hana wore the collar under a light scarf, making it almost invisible. She looked nervous but determined. Remember, Jinwoo said, we start very slowly, just walking straight down this corridor and back. If anything feels wrong, tell me immediately. Hana nodded and adjusted the collar. Jinwoo activated the system and watched the small display on his tablet. Green lights showed that all sensors were working perfectly. I can feel the walls on both sides, Hana said, and something moving far ahead of us. That is probably someone walking, Jinwoo explained. The collar can detect people from quite far away. Hana took her first step into the corridor. Then another. Her movements were careful but steady. The collar's gentle vibrations told her exactly where the walls were and how wide the path ahead looked. This feels amazing, she whispered. I know where I am. They walked slowly down the corridor. A few aliens passed by and Hana could sense them coming before Jinwoo even saw them. The collar warned her when someone was approaching from behind or stepping into her path. When they reached the end of the corridor, Hana turned around by herself. She had felt the wall approaching and knew exactly when to stop and change direction. I want to try walking faster, she said. Are you sure? Yuna asked nervously. The collar will tell me if there is danger, Hana said. I trust it. Jinwoo felt proud and worried at the same time. Hana was learning to use the device much faster than he had expected. But he knew that overconfidence could be dangerous. They spent the next hour practicing in different areas of the station. Hana learned to navigate around obstacles, find specific locations, and even detect when doors were open or closed. The collar's artificial intelligence was already adapting to her movement patterns, giving her information in ways that felt natural. Word about Hana's device spread quickly through the station. Other engineers came to watch her practice. Some were amazed by the technology. Others were skeptical. "It is impressive," said Dr. Chen, a human neuroscientist. "But how do we know it is safe for long-term use? What if the sensations damage her nervous system?" Jinwoo had worried about the same thing. "I have been monitoring her brain activity during each session," he said. "The collar uses very gentle stimulation, much less intense than normal touch. And Hana can turn it off any time she feels uncomfortable." "What about interference?" asked Koru, an alien engineer with tentacles instead of arms. "These corridors have many electromagnetic fields. What if they disrupt the sensors?" Jinwoo showed them the technical specifications. "The device has multiple backup systems and error checking. If interference occurs, it automatically switches to different sensor modes or warns the user." But the most important question came from Hana herself. "Can I use this device to learn new things? Can I go to school or get a job?" "That depends on how well you master it," Jinwoo said. "The collar can do many things, but you have to learn to interpret all the information it gives you." Over the following weeks, Hana practiced for several hours each day. Jinwoo constantly adjusted the device's settings, making the sensations clearer and more informative. Dr. Nara helped them understand how Hana's brain was adapting to the new input. "Her spatial processing abilities are growing rapidly," Dr. Nara explained. "The collar is not just helping her navigate. It is actually training her brain to think about space in new ways." Hana's confidence grew with her skills. She learned to recognize different types of materials by how they reflected the ultrasonic signals. She could tell the difference between glass, metal, and plastic without touching them. She could sense when someone was carrying something large or when a door was only partially open. The breakthrough moment came 3 weeks after the first test. Hana decided to walk from her quarters to the botanical section where Yuna worked, completely by herself. "Are you sure about this?" Yuna asked. "It is a long way and there will be many people around." "I have memorized the route," Hana said. "And the collar will help me avoid obstacles. I need to try this." Jinwoo walked far behind her, ready to help if needed but trying to stay invisible. He watched nervously as Hana made her way through busy corridors and crowded plaza areas. She moved carefully but confidently. When groups of aliens blocked her path, she waited patiently for them to move or found alternate routes around them. When she reached intersections, she paused to sense all directions before choosing her path. The most challenging moment came in the main plaza. It was busy with shoppers and workers. People were moving in all directions, and there were temporary stalls selling food and goods. Hana stopped at the edge of the plaza and seemed to concentrate hard. Jinwoo could see her processing all the information from the collar, dozens of people moving obstacles, changing paths. Then she smiled and walked forward. She moved through the crowd like she could see everything perfectly. She avoided collisions, found the clearest paths, and even stopped to let a small alien child run past her. When she reached the botanical section, Yuna was waiting with amazement and tears in her eyes. "How did you do that?" Yuna asked. "The plaza was so crowded." "The collar told me where everyone was," Hana explained. "But I also listened to their footsteps and voices. I could predict where they were going. It was like solving a puzzle." Jinwoo realized that Hana was not just using the collar as a replacement for natural Villani senses. She was combining it with her enhanced hearing and spatial memory to create something entirely new. She was developing abilities that even normal Villani did not have. Other disabled beings on the station began asking about similar devices. Jinwoo met with a blind human trader, an alien who had lost limbs in an accident, and several beings with different types of sensory problems. "Each case is different," Jinwoo explained to them. "Hana's device works because it matches how her specific brain processes information. We would need to design something unique for each person," but he was excited by the possibilities. With help from Dr. Nara and other specialists, maybe they could create assistive devices for many different species and disabilities. The biggest test came when Hana announced that she wanted to enroll in engineering classes. "Engineering requires precise spatial thinking," the instructor told Jinwoo. "How can she design three-dimensional structures if she cannot see them?" "Let her try," Jinwoo suggested. "Her spatial abilities might be different from yours, but they are very strong." Hana's first engineering class was about basic structural design. The other students, all from species with normal vision, worked with holographic displays to design simple bridges. Hana could not see the holograms, but her collar could detect their electromagnetic signatures. Combined with verbal descriptions from the instructor, she built a mental model of the assignment. Her bridge design was unusual. While other students focused on how structures looked, Hana designed based purely on forces and material properties. Her bridge was not pretty, but when they tested it with simulations, it was stronger and more efficient than most others. She thinks about engineering problems differently, the instructor told Jinwoo afterward. Her approach is very logical and practical. I think she could become an excellent engineer. Jinwoo felt proud watching Hana succeed in her classes, but he also felt something else. His job was almost finished. Hana no longer needed him to guide her through each day. She was becoming independent. What will you do next? Hana asked him one day after her engineering class. I think I will help other people like you, Jinwoo said. There are many beings who could benefit from assistive technology. Can I help you? Hana asked. I understand what it feels like to need these devices. Maybe I can help design better ones. Jinwoo smiled. I would like that very much. He realized that helping Hana had changed him too. He had learned that the best engineering was not about building impressive machines. It was about understanding what people really needed and finding creative ways to give it to them. Hana was no longer the girl who walked into walls. She was becoming an engineer, a problem solver, and an example of what was possible when technology and determination worked together. 6 months later, Jinwoo barely recognized the confident young woman who walked into his lab. Hana moved with purpose and grace, her collar now so integrated into her daily life that she wore it like jewelry. She carried a tablet with engineering, designs, and spoke with the authority of someone who knew exactly what she was talking about. I have been thinking about improvements to the spatial mapping algorithm, she said, setting down her tablet. The current system works well for static environments, but it struggles with very dynamic spaces like the recreation areas. Jinwoo looked at her proposed modifications. The mathematics was advanced, far beyond what he had expected from someone who had been an engineering student for only a few months. These calculations are impressive, he said. Where did you learn this approach? Professor Tanak taught us about predictive modeling last week, Hana explained. But I realized that the collar could use these same principles to anticipate how crowds move. Instead of just detecting where people are now, it could predict where they will be in a few seconds. She was right. Her modifications would make the device much more effective in busy areas. Jinwoo felt amazed and slightly embarrassed that he had not thought of these improvements himself. We should test this, he said. Do you want to help me program the new algorithms? I already started, Hana said with a small smile. I have been working on it during my free time. Jinwoo realized that somewhere along the way, Hana had stopped being his student and had become his research partner. She understood the collar's technology better than anyone else because she lived with it every day. Their improved device attracted attention from across the, galaxy. Dr. Nara had published papers about their work, and requests for information came from universities and medical centers on dozens of worlds. You should present your research at the Galactic Assistive Technology Conference, Dr. Nara suggested. This work could help thousands of disabled beings. The idea made Jinwoo nervous. He was not used to speaking at major conferences, but Hana was excited. We should both present, she said. You can explain the technical details, and I can show how the device actually works in daily life. The conference was held on a space station even larger than Kepler Station. Researchers from hundreds of species gathered to share knowledge about helping disabled individuals. Jinwoo and Hana found themselves surrounded by brilliant minds working on similar problems. They met a human scientist who had developed artificial eyes for people with damaged vision. They talked with an alien engineer who created prosthetic limbs that connected directly to nervous systems. They learned about devices that help deaf beings communicate and machines that assisted people with damaged memories. All this technology, Hana said wonderingly, and every piece helped someone live a better life. Their presentation was scheduled for the second day of the conference. Jinwoo explained the technical aspects of the collar while Hana demonstrated its capabilities. She walked through an obstacle course while answering questions from the audience, showing how naturally she could navigate complex environments. But the most powerful moment came when she talked about what the device meant to her personally. Before this collar, I was dependent on my sister for everything, Hana said. I could not work, I could not learn, I could not contribute anything to my community. I felt like a burden. Now I am studying to be an engineer. I have friends. I can go anywhere I want to go. But most importantly, I can help other people who face similar challenges. The audience of scientists and engineers listened in complete silence. Many had disabilities themselves or worked with disabled beings. But Hana's words reminded them why their work mattered. After the presentation, dozens of researchers approached them with questions and collaboration ideas. A group from the Centauri system wanted to adapt the technology for beings with different types of sensory disabilities. Scientists from Earth requested detailed specifications to help human blind communities. This is bigger than I ever imagined, Jinwoo told Hana that evening. This is just the beginning, she replied. There are so many people we can still help. When they returned to Kepler Station, Jinwoo found that his reputation had changed. Taeho promoted him to senior engineer and gave him permission to start an official assistive technology research program. You proved that humans can solve problems that others thought were impossible, Taeho said. The station administration wants to support more projects like this. Jinwoo's new lab was twice as large as his old workspace. He hired 3 additional engineers and a specialized programmer. But his first hire was Hana as a junior research associate. Are you sure about this? Jinwoo asked her. You could finish your engineering degree and work for any company in the galaxy. I want to work here, Hana said firmly. I want to help create devices that change lives the way mine was changed. Their first major project was developing a communication device for a young alien who had been born without the ability to produce sounds. Their second project helped an elderly human whose memory had been damaged in an accident. Each case taught them something new about the intersection of technology and disability. Yuna often visited the lab to see how her sister was doing. The change in her was as dramatic as the change in Hana. The stress and exhaustion had disappeared from her face. She had been promoted at work and was even taking classes in her spare time. I never thought I would have my own life again, Yuna told Jinwoo. For so long, everything was about taking care of Hana. Now we are both free to become who we want to be. The most rewarding day came 6 months later when a small Villani child arrived at the lab with his parents. The child had been born with the same condition as Hana at the malformed echolocation, chambers that left him unable to navigate independently. We heard about your work, the child's mother explained through the translator. We traveled from the other side of the galaxy hoping you could help our son. Hana knelt down to the child's level and spoke to him in gentle Villani clicks. Even though she could not echolocate naturally, she had learned to produce the sounds for communication. I know exactly how you feel, she told the child. But I promise you we can make things better. Jinwoo watched as Hana carefully fitted a modified collar around the child's neck. This version was smaller and designed specifically for young Villani physiology. Hana had been the lead engineer on its development. When the device activated, the child's reaction was the same as Hana's had been months earlier. Wonder, amazement, and then tears of joy as he realized he could sense his surroundings. How does it feel? Hana asked him. Like magic, the child whispered. That evening, Jinwoo sat in his quarters looking out at the stars. He thought about how much had changed since he first arrived at Kepler Station. He had come here hoping to learn about alien technology. Instead, he had learned something more important about human technology, that its greatest power came not from complexity or sophistication, but from the desire to help others. His tablet chimed with a message from Earth. The Assistive Technology Institute wanted to establish a partnership with his lab. Universities across human space were adding courses based on his research methods. The work he and Hana had started was spreading throughout the galaxy. Jinwoo, Hana's voice came through his communication system. I just finished the specifications for the memory enhancement project. Do you want to review them tonight? Send them over, Jinwoo replied. I will look at them right now. As he reviewed Hana's meticulous work, Jinwoo smiled. The girl who had once walked into walls was now designing technology that would help beings across the galaxy. She had become not just independent, but a leader in her field. But more than that, she had become proof of something that humans had always believed, that every person, regardless of their challenges, had something valuable to contribute, Sometimes they just needed the right tools to show the galaxy what they could do. Jinwoo approved Hana's specifications and sent her a message back. Excellent work. Let's change some more lives tomorrow. Through his window, he could see the lights of hundreds of ships coming and going from Kepler Station. Each one carried beings with their own challenges, dreams, and potential. Some of them might need help that only human ingenuity and compassion could provide. Jinwoo was ready to give it to them.